And welcome back to a new video on the Essex Boys case. As always, if you are enjoying the content, please do give the video a thumbs up. And if you're interested in the Essex Boys case, or simply true crime in general, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. The tearful teenage mistress of a murdered drug baron broke down in the witness box as she gave evidence at the trial of his alleged killers. Donna Garwood, formerly of Fairview Road, Basildon, struggled to hold back her emotions as she spoke. She was 15 when she began a 2-year affair with gang leader and bouncer boss Tony Tucker. They met at Raquel's nightclub in Basildon. Tucker, 38, of High Road Fobbing, was blasted to death in a Range Rover on a country track in Rettendon. His body was found alongside Pat Tate, 37, of Gordon Road, Basildon, and Craig Rolfe, 26, of Calshot Avenue, Chafford 100, on December 7th, 1995. The court had earlier heard from Supergrass, an alleged getaway driver at the time of the murders, Darren Nichols, that Michael Steele and Jack Womes shot the trio after Tate threatened to kill Steele. He claimed the pair fell out when a drug deal went wrong. Nichols testified that Steele travelled back to the Amsterdam cafe where he had bought the drugs and got a refund. Tate met him in the Belgian city of Ostend to take back his share of the cash. Miss Garwood yesterday told the jury that she had accompanied Tate and others to Ostend on November 16th, 1995. Tate paid for everything, including meals, ferry tickets, drinks and hotel bills. When they reached Ostend, they went to a pub and Tate left them to talk to a man she later identified as Michael Steele, who was waiting outside. She said, quote, "They came back into the pub together. This guy Michael was carrying a carrier bag. The two men sat at a separate table to the party and talked together for some time, and Miss Garwood said later that evening she noticed Tate then had the bag." The court heard she was asked to identify Steele in an identity parade at Colchester but did not. Under cross-examination by the defence, she pointed out Steele in the dock. The court also heard yesterday from forensic scientist John Willier, who examined Steele's boat 2 days after he allegedly smuggled the dud cannabis into the country. Steele and Womes were arrested on suspicion of drug smuggling, but no charges were brought against them. Mr. Willier said he had discovered 262 micrograms of cannabis resin in the vessel. Both Womes and Steele denied the triple murder charges and separate counts of conspiring with Peter Corey, 45, of London Road, Clacton, to smuggle cannabis. The trial continues. The following newspaper article is from the 13th of the 10th, 1997, with the headline, "Triple Murder Trial Told of IRA Terror." The lover of a triple gangland execution victim has told of her terror when detectives masquerading as members of the IRA called her home. Sarah Saunders, who had to delay her appearance before an Old Bailey jury when her grandmother died earlier this week, was often close to tears as she gave evidence in the long-running trial. The court heard Miss Saunders, the former live-in girlfriend of dead drug baron Pat Tate, began receiving the phone calls only 2 months after he was murdered. The officers, posing as Irish gang members Billy and John, told her Tate owed them money and now they wanted it back. The jury heard she reported the menacing calls to Basildon police, who said they had traced a phone number to a well-known Republican bar in Belfast. The officers added to her spiralling fear by claiming the men had recently travelled to the mainland and detectives had unfortunately lost track of them. Miss Saunders told the court the two men asked her what she knew about Tate, but she insisted, quote, "I hadn't been with him for a long time and I didn't know what was happening." She added, quote, "If I had known anything, I would have told the police." The court has yet to hear the full role that undercover officers played in the investigations into the murders. Tate, 37, of Gordon Road, Basildon, Craig Rolfe, 26, of Calshot Avenue, Chafford 100, and 38-year-old Tony Tucker of High Road Fobbing were gunned down on December 6, 1995. Their bloodied bodies were found inside a Range Rover the following day down Workhouse Lane, a country track in Rettendon. 2 men have been accused of the killings: Steele, 54, of St Mary's Road, Great Bentley, and Jack Womes, 36, of Main Road, Brockford, Suffolk. Their alleged getaway driver, Darren Nichols, who is now the prosecution's star witness, claims they killed the trio to pay them back for a drug deal Tate had cheated on. Both Womes and Steele deny the charges. Miss Saunders, appearing as a prosecution witness, said she had last seen Tate on the day of his death. The court heard Miss Saunders decided to ring him on his mobile that evening just before 7 p.m. The prosecution claims that he answered the call only minutes before he was blasted to death. Tate said he was unable to talk as he was with people. The trial continues. The following newspaper article is from the 7th of the 10th, 1997, with the headline, "Drink and Computer Games in Cell." A Supergrass played cards and chatted about his favourite hobbies with murder squad detectives in a triple killing investigation. An Old Bailey jury heard police informer Darren Nichols also had the use of a Nintendo computer games console and a packed fridge with ice-cold drinks as he sat in his prison cell waiting to give statements. Defending barrister David Lederman QC, representing 36-year-old Jack Womes, who is jointly charged with the triple killing, claimed officers investigating the murders had forged a unique friendship with Nichols, and they accused one detective of telling lie upon lie as he cross-examined him on the witness stand. Drug barons Pat Tate, 37, Tony Tucker, 38, and 26-year-old Craig Rolfe were blasted to death with a pump-action shotgun as they sat in their Range Rover in a deserted country lane in the quiet Essex village of Rettendon on December 6, 1995. The trio had been lured to a remote workhouse lane on the promise of a large cocaine deal, unaware that an ambush had been laid for them. Tate of Gordon Road, Basildon, Tucker of High Road, Fobbing, and Rolfe of Calshot Avenue, Chafford 100 Greys had earlier been outraged by poor quality cannabis supplied by 54-year-old Michael Steele, who is also charged with the murders. Steele of Great Bentley and Womes of Brockford, Suffolk both deny the charges. Supergrass Nichols is alleged to have unwittingly driven the two men away from the murder scene. Mr. Lederman QC asked Essex Detective Constable Christopher Winston, quote, "Was part of your welfare trips to Mr. Nichols to play cribbage with him?" DC Winston replied, "No, it wasn't. It was Detective Sergeant Kraling who played with him." Mr. Lederman said, quote, "And you discussed with him about classic cars?" "Certainly a relationship must have been forming." DC Winston replied, "Yes, sir." Mr. Lederman said, quote, "And Nichols ended up recognising you as his friend?" DC Winston replied, "No." The jury were then shown photographs of Nichols' cell, complete with a Nintendo's game system and a fridge full of drinks. Mr. Lederman, during cross-examination of DC Brown, claimed the version of events surrounding Rettendon that Nichols had first told officers was completely different to the one that was said in court. And it was alleged Nichols had first been told by DC Brown that tape recordings of the Supergrass telling police about the murders would not be handed to defence counsel. Mr. Lederman said, quote, "Why did you say this when it was completely wrong?" DC Brown replied, "In hindsight, if I'd been asked that question now, I would not have told him that. I would have told him that the tapes would be handed to the defence counsel." Mr. Lederman continued, quote, "Mr. Brown, may I suggest that you are lying as you go along?" DC Brown replied, "I am certainly not lying to you, sir." Earlier the court had heard Nichols had first told police he believed he was taking Jack Womes to a drugs meet in an airfield, and that the plan was to kill the pilot of a waiting aircraft, steal the merchandise and then blow up the plane. Womes and Steele denied charges of conspiracy to import cannabis. Steele denies possessing a pump-action shotgun. Co-defendant Peter Corey of London Road, Clacton denies conspiracy to import cannabis. The trial continues. If you would like to learn more about the Range Rover murders, then click on the video in front of you now. You will also see the Essex Boys playlist, which has all of the videos concerning this case in one convenient folder. Many thanks for joining me for this video. I look forward to seeing you all again for the next one. Take care. Cheers.